Me now, a woman who needs no introduction, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik from New York's 21st District. So good to have you here on Saturday Agenda. Thank you so much for joining us. Number one, want to congratulate you nearly 6 months into being the conference chair. We go back to when the world lost their collective mind, when you became the new conference chair, even though most Americans didn't even know what the job entailed. Let's talk a little bit about that and also how you view your first 6 months on the job.
First of all, thank you, Joe. It is an honor to serve as House Republican Conference Chair. That's the #3 position in House leadership. And we're very focused on the message of House Republicans, ensuring that we're speaking on the issues that matter to the American people. And 6 months later, Joe, the proof is in the polling. When I took over this job, Joe Biden was polling ahead on issues like the economy, on issues like the border, on issues like jobs, which it's amazing to even think that he was ever polling ahead. But now he is underwater on every single issue. That means we have done our job as House Republicans, making sure that the American people understand that Joe Biden's policies have had real negative impacts on hardworking families across the country. Just look at the economy. We just had the worst jobs report over the course of Joe Biden's presidency just in the past few weeks. The border continues to be totally insecure. It's porous. We have 1.6 million illegal apprehensions on our southern border, as well as the national security crises. We saw how weak of a commander-in-chief Joe Biden is when it came to the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Right.
What I'm most proud of is Republicans have been unified, talking about these issues, talking about safety and security, talking about securing our southern border, talking about the challenges of inflation because of Joe Biden and House Democrats' tax and spend policies. These are issues that impact everyday Americans.
Absolutely. And again, we're looking at a actual Secretary of Transportation who apparently was absent on the job while bridges and roads were crumbling, infrastructure, and again, our supply chains were moribund. And on top of that, again, to your point, the inflation that is crushing the average working American. Talk to us a little bit about how you think, as we look forward to 2022, we can get America back on track in spite of the fact that we have an administration in place that doesn't actually believe there's a real problem afoot.
This is about fighting for who we are as Americans and fighting for the next generation. When it comes to inflation and the economic crisis, we have seen the rising cost of goods. I see it, the rising cost of diapers, the rising cost of baby formula. People are seeing it every day when they go to the gas pump. Gas prices have never been this high since Joe Biden was last in the White House when he served as vice president. What are we going to do as Republicans to address our inflation? We are going to stop the rampant and reckless tax and spending agenda that we're seeing from House Democrats, Senate Democrats, and the Biden administration. This bill that they are considering, that they call the Build Back Better, will actually bankrupt America. It is a multi-trillion-dollar bill. It is an irreparable expansion of government and intruding on American people's lives. It has policy provisions like mass amnesty, the elimination of the once bipartisan Hyde Amendment that protects the sanctity of life and ensure taxpayer dollars don't go to fund abortions. So this is a very far left bill, and it's only going to pour fuel on the fire of the already raging inflation crisis. When it comes to the national security crisis, we saw just again the catastrophic withdrawal. Republicans are standing strong for strong national defense, for really showing strong American leadership when it comes to countering Russia, countering China. And we did not see that this past week when Joe Biden had his Zoom call with Vladimir Putin.
It's really staggering to me when you have a president that is so weak in the face of a brewing axis of evil, a new one. You see what China is doing to this nation. They've taken over that airport in Kabul. Again, they've formed a multi-billion dollar alliance with the Ayatollah over there in Iran. To me, again, the good part about having somebody like you at the helm, stewardship for the caucus, extension of what you were able to do with EPAC, again, trying to get more women elected. Talk to us again about your efforts and your confidence that we have a Republican caucus that is not only more effective, but also looks and breeds more the essence of what America truly is.
We are committed to recruiting and supporting diverse candidates across America because we know that Republican voters and conservatives are diverse. When you look at our supporters in my district and across the country, we had a problem in the midterm elections. Many of our very strong Republican women lost congressional seats. So while this was the highest number ever total of women who were elected, it was over 100, there were only 13 Republican women. I made it my mission to change that, and boy, did we succeed. In 2020, while we were very disappointed with the presidential election, the real bright spot of that day was the highest number ever of Republican women were elected to the United States Congress. We went from only 13 to over 30, far surpassing anyone's expectations. And these are true rising stars from states like California, where you have young Kim and Michelle Steele, two of the first Korean American women ever elected to Congress. You have Ashley Hinson, who flipped a district in Iowa, a mom of 2 boys. She gives me lots of great advice, but she ran a tough campaign, and she is standing up for hardworking Iowans every day. We flipped districts in Florida with candidates like Maria Elvira Salazar, who stood strong against the socialist ideas, which is very important to stand up for the Cuban American community in the Miami region. And then in my home state of New York, Nicole Malliotakis stood strong with our law enforcement and flipped a district and took it away from defund the police, Max Rose Democrat. So huge success story. We're building on that, Joe, going into the 2022 elections. We will have more women than ever before running as Republicans, and I'm excited to continue to increase that number.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, that's the politics of all this. I think in many ways, I think you would agree, Congress has become an overpriced food fight in some regards. But at the essence of that are real problems facing not just this country, but the world. Talk to us about what you think needs to be done when we see all that troop amassment on the border of Ukraine from Russia, when we see China tightening their grip on the people of Taiwan, tightening their grip on the freedoms that existed in Hong Kong, and we understand the implications that has across the world. Really, to surmise it all, as the East marches west and encroaches on our freedoms, not just abroad but here at home, what do you think needs to happen to make sure that we can stand strong and protect our American way of life?
Well, first, let's rewind to the start of the Biden administration. Putin and Xi, so Russia and China, have been watching. They have been watching weakness on the international stage. Russia has already made significant steps to undermine the global order. One example is the cyber attacks, the ransomware attacks that we've seen, not only on technology companies, but on infrastructure, on energy. That has been, that was in the first few months of Biden's administration. We also saw Joe Biden give away Russian energy independence and sided with Russia rather than our European allies. That is an affront to all of those strong alliances we have to counter Russia. When it comes to Ukraine, Putin has seen this weakness. And my concern is that our Ukrainian allies, and I've actually been to Ukraine, I've been to Kiev as a member of the House Armed Services Committee. I've seen how important it is to stand up for freedom and our fellow democracies around the world. And Putin didn't do this during the Trump administration. There was a reason, because he respected strength from the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, and he's not seeing that from Joe Biden. We need to provide and continue to support both training but also defensive lethal aid, which of course happened during the Trump administration, not during the Obama administration, when Obama and Joe Biden opposed that important aid to the Ukrainians. But there is a reason that Putin is amassing troops on the Ukrainian border, and it's because he does not think there will be consequences from the United States and our allies. And certainly that was not what we saw during the Trump administration.
Absolutely. You go back to last time Joe Biden was hanging out at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Russia took Crimea. Now it looks like they're getting ready to take Ukraine because they see the weakness that is there leading this nation. Elise Stefanik, a mother, a leader, a friend to the movement. Always good to see you, Congresswoman. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.